Hey guys, Devin Fraze back here again to help you learn how to become a better organizer. Today we're going to talk about how to grow your Go Club. Pretty basic thing that probably a lot of organizers want to know. This question came today from our friend Justin via the Ohio Go Association Slack that I run. Justin asks, I was wondering if you could give me some advice to try and improve my local Go Club. Frank really desires to expand outside of the small one-day class a week, and I also want to help him. However, the simple fact is, I don't even know how to begin to expand. I've never been in a leadership role like this, and I'm inexperienced on how to even start. He has suggested many ideas such as reaching out to schools, starting small group classes, small tournaments, etc. While these ideas are good, I have no idea where to start to create these things. While I'm not really good at Go, I still want to be able to help out and improve my community. Thanks for asking, Justin. Hopefully, I can answer your question today, or at least some of them. And if you guys are watching on YouTube and you have other good advice, then please leave it in the comment section below. If you're seeing this video somewhere else that has a comment section, go ahead and contribute, and hopefully we can help each other learn to become better organizers. So, first off, I want to say you don't have to be good at Go to actually run a club. My strength is actually relatively okay. I'm a 1Q, so I can teach beginners up to, maybe 10Q relatively well, even 5Q. And that's useful. But the Boston Go Club taught me a valuable lesson that I thought was useful. Is they have found, I want to say, a 5 Dan that they bring out to one of their weekly clubs. And they really just, make sure that he is having a wonderful time. They shower on the praise and the respect, and try to encourage him to come back out over and over again. And that's one way that if you're not strong, you can get a strong person to be that magnet and that wisdom and experience for the game of Go. But there's really a lot more to running a Go club than just being good at the game. There's really a lot more to a Go club in general, even even Baduk in general, than running a game. So I actually wrote a blog post this morning. I'll pull that up for you guys. It's called "Grow or Die." Well, the Baduk is the blog is a Baduk blog, and you can find that at blog.badukclub.club. I'll put a link below. And in my article, one of the key things I say is you can see down here bolded. Baduk is more than something we do. Baduk is a community, and it's the story we tell ourselves and others. So I think that community aspect is really, really, really important to organizing a club. And if you want to know more about the blog, you can go ahead and check that out. But first, we got to know our audience. Data is super important for that. So you can see Google Trends actually has a really interesting graph over time of people searching for Baduk and Weiqi. And if I were to add Go in here, it would be totally useless. You can add a comparison, as you can see, but that doesn't tell you anything. So particularly what I'm trying to tell you is actually by region is where it becomes interesting. Because people are searching for Baduk and Go and Weiqi and stuff like that, you want to know where it's popular. Now, if you're trying to start a club in Africa, as you can see here, there's not much general interest, unfortunately. By the way, this is for the past 90 days is this data, so it's not necessarily a good long-term trend that I'm showing you. You can do longer. You can look over time. You can see actually the most interest for Baduk is in Finland, Belgium, New Zealand. Although these in general, their searches are just 100%. This isn't relative to like search quantity. It doesn't give you that data. It just gives you relativeness. And then you can see again, Baduk is actually pretty well searched in places like Canada and the U.S., India, and actually you can see the deep blue is better. South Koreans, of the people that search Baduk, they're the highest. But it's also high in Malaysia as well and stuff like that, and Sweden and Finland. Weiqi, of course, is popular. It's actually the most popular thing searched in China, although somehow they're not the 100. Let's see here. Click. Not sure why China's not showing up right anymore. But yeah, so Weiqi, not as well searched. Some places might be a little more popular. Here you can see actually Weiqi's slightly used more in Canada, used about a third of the time more in Australia, And actually, there you go. China's data is showing better. In Japan, actually, I'm sure they search ego more, and I'm not going to bother to add that in. But so Baduk is one of the better things to do. So if you're going to, if you live in one of these countries, it might be useful. Now we can actually look at the United States in particular. Actually, I'll probably just type it in. Nope, wrong one. United States. There we go. And look in the U.S. Where people are looking at such things. Again, it's usually split, but the idea of the main states people are researching Baduk, and where you're going to have the easiest time growing a club in the U.S. is Seattle, Oregon, California, Texas, Virginia. Probably doing pretty well because of the National Go Association there. Illinois, Michigan, New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Massachusetts, really good Go Club in Massachusetts, or Go Association in Florida. Now it's possible to do it outside of those places. You can see in Ohio, where I live, a little bit of interest, that didn't quite appear in that map. Not as much interest on the Weiqi side of things, but in general, that's the side. Now again, Weiqi is Chinese, so it looks like there's a decent Chinese population in Massachusetts and maybe Oregon. That's where those numbers are coming from. But this is just some estimation we can do. Now, we can do better. Baduk Club, one of the things I've put into my mapping website, is when you list your meetup, I'll actually give you statistics on how often that meetup was viewed. Now, we just started, so the analytics side of things, so we don't actually have anything for these earlier days. But you can see here, we have some views over this past week or so. And these aren't me. I have a blocker set up on my my Chrome, so my browser. So actually, these are tracked. These are actual real people looking at this listing, which is great. And again, how you get there is if you've created a club, you just go to the map, and so these, again, I live in Columbus area, and these ones are me. So if I click there and just open it up, it's going to show me the statistics. Okay. And eventually, we're going to have hopefully a lot more cool stuff as well for you guys to manage clubs, because one of the things you're going to run into is walled gardens. So one place that's not a walled garden is the internet. So I also create a website for the club. Pretty simple website. I believe you can actually just find it on GitHub and copy it if you'd like. It's my GitHub is Fraze, Fraze, and add your own Go Club name. I should change it to Baduk Club. It's going to be more searchable, better SEO. And I have a little calendar. And actually, a good friend of mine in the Columbus Club is making a better version of this. We just need to release it. You can see there's a clickable email. It's also, maybe one day I'll teach you guys how to set up, if you have a domain name, set up email forwarding and reply capabilities for your email, not just forwarding, but reply capabilities as well. So you can manage clubs and contacts through a email. And then, of course, there's a social category. So let's talk about those. Website's a good way to, maybe potentially draw people in, but you want to also have some other means. So email is an incredible way. A lot of people use Google Groups to manage their clubs. This one actually had been around for 10 years before I ever even joined the club. Started by some other Go players, and it's a great way to manage clubs. So you can see actually we haven't really used it since 2018, but because I've been using a lot of other channels that I think are a little more powerful, particularly direct messaging and emails, which I'll talk about in a bit. But also Facebook and stuff like that. But I think this is a good starting space, and it might just be better for your club. It may just be a better way. And you see down here on the left side, there's Columbus, Eugene, Chicago. I'm actually part of a couple different Google groups. Okay, so moving on, we got Facebook. So Facebook has a lot of different ways to manage members. You can see over here, there's on the right hand side, it says 87 members. People and their profiles are accessible, and I can invite people pretty easily as well. And then you can create different events. So if you go to create an event, you'll notice there's an option called Get Together on the right, bottom right, and that's a great way to do kind of club meetups and stuff like that on Facebook to invite people out. And we did one recently, as you can see, at the Rude Dog Bar and Grill in Polaris, and that actually worked really well. I had a great experience with the guy I met up with there, Will, and we the owner of the bar actually ended up coming and watching us, which was insane, and then ended up talking about sponsorship opportunities at the end. So maybe there will be some possibilities there. That's kind of historically hard thing for Go players to find. You can see we're engaging people with conversation, good, advertising of the tournaments in the area, and then let's see here. Where's the one? And then here's something I like to do as the admin of the group, and you can invite other admins. I really encourage you. You can see I have a team of admins. I really encourage you to invite people to join your admin team. I welcome people to the group by tagging them in that welcome thing. That way, they feel welcome. They're more likely to come out. If they don't come out, I'll even message them. I'll message them on Facebook and say, hey, again, nothing forward like where are you, but something simple like, hey, Ted, when do you think that you'll be able to come out? When should I expect to see you? And just getting them to answer or come out with an answer of like, oh, next Tuesday probably or something, or next Thursday to our beginner night, then it'll be useful. All right, moving on. Meetup.com is another thing I use. It unfortunately is a paid service. It is really, really good actually for bringing in beginners. I'd say really good. Seemingly better than other mediums, but it's not necessarily great for much else. So I run a couple different ones. Let's look at this next one coming up, the beginner's night. You see I kind of mark it, so 7 spots left. Not a real thing. You can obviously have as many people as possible, but kind of trying to create a little scarcity is good. The problem, of course, is no one else is going but me, the admin, so it's not necessarily useful. You see Tech Columbus, 48 members going and 12 spots left. That's a little more legit. And so we go to this. Also named it Columbus Go Baduk Weiqi Club. So again, it shows up well. But it's important. I would say if you're running different nights, you want to say this beginner's night is a really important idea. Having something, if you just do weekly meetup, it doesn't mean as much. When people see the word beginner's night, if they identify as a beginner, they're more likely to come out. Even though you might say at the weekly Sunday meetup, anyone's welcome, beginners welcome. But if you say literally this is the night for beginners, that has been super successful for our campaign. And Meetup gives you a lot of detailed information on where to meet and stuff like that, and tells you who the organizer is. It's important when you're an organizer to use your real name, and so people feel like they can know you in a picture, maybe even, so they can when they go to the club they can find you. Massachusetts Go Association and Boston do a great job of actually getting all their people to use Meetup, so you can actually tell more than just who's coming, more than just the organizer. Right now, I haven't encouraged anyone to really RSVP in the club, but you could do that and use that management. Now, I'd like to actually have that be a feature of Baduk Club, where we can track attendees and who's coming, and even also track games as well to encourage people to kind of interact and Go players love to know kind of like, hey, how am I doing against Ted or something like that, and kind of a little more fun, like ladders, kind of little IRL ladders. So Meetup's a decent tool, but again, it costs actually a decent chunk of money. So it's if you have some money to spare, or you really want to go ham on organizing, you can do that. But it's not the best thing ever. So then there's my true secret weapon, Google Spreadsheets. So Google Spreadsheets, I use a lot. Now this is what I call the dashboard of the players in Columbus, and it's just lots and lots of names. And I've also created a nice couple of graphs. You can see here, this is AGA related graphs, not as interesting as what I'm about to show you, which is Meetup attendance graph. So I track the attendance of our meetups using a form that I just input people's names into, and because it knows the date of when they when the names appeared, it creates little markers. Now these orange ones I marked special because they're actually tournaments, so a little higher. And I haven't been super good about always tracking attendance and getting everyone's name on here. So some of these are a little bit lower than they probably should be, but that's okay. So this is a couple of these, like early on, especially, I was doing a really good job at reaching out directly to people, and I was getting good responses, and probably in here that might have been happening as well. But you can see also by the dates, especially on the right side. Oops, don't need to customize that right now. On the right side, it goes 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 9, 9 month-wise. It's because I was out of town for quite a while and I didn't track attendance, and I forgot to tell my co-organizers to do that. I also track who's coming out. Now, since I run the meetups, I come out the most, no surprising, but I have really dedicated people. David, for example, comes out. And I recently just asked him, hey, would you like to join the leadership team? It'd be really great to have you helping me run the clubs and meetups and stuff. And he was open to it. And as a dedicated person, it's good to honor that and help and see if he can contribute and work together. Peel is this old Korean man that comes out, so not necessarily great leadership material, but good to have him. And then Ricky and Michael have also talked to. Richard's not really open to it, but Michael's been doing an incredible job running our beginners night and stuff like that. And then eventually maybe giving these people the option to some rewards for coming out more, or honoring that, or showing it a little more openly. So I've tracked all this. Now again, I've only been tracking actually for a year now. Look at that, amazing. And I'd like to be able to see these numbers go up and up and up. I'd also like to make something like this happen in Baduk Club, so you get a real clear graph of attendance there. Now, how I organize this is over here in this master list, and I have everybody's names. I have like 300. I'm not going to scroll down to show you all of them, but I have like 300 names, and I have their emails. Oops, darn it. And I have their IDs and phone number, AGID. AGID is actually automatically pulled in using from the database using a complex equation based on these names here. Because you kind of estimated age based on date of birth, although sometimes I just took someone's age and punched it in and took a guess at it, but sometimes I actually knew someone's birthday, which is cool. Gender is kind of useful. Sometimes if I ever wanted to do it can be useful. And then state, city, address. If I know general address, visits. When they visited. This is populated by that form. Days since the visit, and that tells me more about the status. What I claim is active, yearly, or seasonal. What club they're part of officially in the AGA. Do I need to follow up with them on something? Are they part of the Meetup? Are they part of Facebook? Do they have nickname? What's their AGA rank? And I pulled that in again using the AGA database, and I do all this parsing to make it look nice. And then what kind of club are they officially part of? Pulled in from the AGA database. And what are some notes on them? To help me remember who they are. Also, if they have KGS, OGS, DGS, PandaNet, Baduk, TiGym stuff. Eventually, again, this is all actually going to be on, hopefully, Baduk Club, where you can take notes and track. It's called CRM, Customer Relationship Management Tools, or techniques. But obviously these aren't customers, but in a way they are. I'm serving these people. So, it's an idea. Let's go back to there. So again, if you like what wait, that's not what I want to do. There we go. Hey, so hopefully that was helpful. Actually, let me make sure I answer the question 100% before I move on. Giving some advice. Simple fact is do not expand. Leadership role. So direct contact is I think the best way to reinvigorate the club that you already have. Reach out to the people that you already have that are already active, and that are really interested in what you have to offer, which is your Go Club, and then you can think about expanding. So I also teach at a couple different schools. I teach at a local middle school, which I have a friend that works there, and he helped me get involved in their in their schools. There's a time during the day when they're accessible, so I'll go in and volunteer 2 times a week to teach classes. There's also a Saturday and a Sunday Chinese school in my area, which I'm able to teach in. But the reality is, I would not say that that is. I do that out of the love of teaching and kids. That is not a great way to grow your Go Club. It is in some areas if there's maybe a different scene, but the parents in my area do not respect Go. They just like their kids playing, and those kids have never come out to a tournament, and there's not much involvement, and they're kind of really bad, and they don't behave, and it's a lot of hassle. So that's less for organizing and more for like, hey, you love teaching, you want to spread Go to kids specifically, which I like to do. That's not a good way to grow a club. Let's see, another thing from Justin. Um, starting small group classes, he asked about. For adults, yes, that could work. I have yet to really do any reoccurring classes, but I know that this is something that's successful. For example, in the swing dance community, which I'm part of, you'll have a time where it's like a half an hour to an hour class at the beginning, and then it's open dance time for the next 2 to 3 hours. I think that would actually work really well in Go. You can see that happening in the Seattle Go Association. They do that really, really well. I want to say Tuesday night is Nick Sabicki's class, the lecture he posts on YouTube. And a lot of people go to that. He does the hour-ish lecture, and then it's open play after that. Again, they have the Seattle Go Center, so that's pretty nice. But I think there'd be places in areas, cities. It's tough for the country, but cities where you could have classes. So one option that I've already thought of that I haven't actually followed up on yet, but if I wanted to run a class in Columbus, this is what I would do: is I would contact actually the Shambhala Meditation Center. So it's like a Buddhist center in Columbus. They only meet twice a week, and they have a physical space. I think if I went to them and said, "Hey, here's this game. It's very Taoist, very Zen, or whatever," and they probably already know it, so I shouldn't necessarily load it with a bunch of words. And it seems possible that they'd let me teach there. Other thoughts: you don't have to have a board. You can use a projector. You can even just use a screen and show people stuff. If you do want to get a board, it's not really possible to get the magnetic boards. Not very easily. It is possible. It's not easy. One day I hope to make that easy for you guys. I don't have that ability now, but I'm working on that actually. So you just bring a board in and circle up people around that board and then give a lesson and have people play. Another option, libraries. Libraries usually have meeting rooms. You wouldn't want to do it in the main section of the library, but if you had a class in the some meeting room that you rented out weekly at the library, that's another great option as well. Or even not weekly, do it monthly, have a special event. When you do events and you say, hey, this is special, people come out more. For example, we used to meet up downtown in Columbus. It was getting crowded. It's the classic place. We'd met there for 10 years, but parking was now hard. And I did a survey to find out where our club members lived in Columbus, and turns out all of them lived in the north side. I actually lived downtown, so it worked for me. But everyone else lived down the northern part, so it occurred to me, why are we meeting downtown? After the survey, I found a place closer to everybody, and when I released it, it was a huge success. I moved the club up after the survey and some discussion to make sure everyone was okay with it, and we ended up having like 14 people for the next 3 weeks straight, every week, which is awesome. But it turns out that it wasn't the location, since now it's more like 6 to 8 people each week. It was the newness. It was say, hey, here's a special place, check it out, and that got people excited, and that got people coming back out. So if you do special events, beginner's night, or here's a special lecture from someone who's coming guest in town, or 5 Dan or whatever, that's what's going to help you draw out those numbers more weekly, and I think build the community that will keep coming back time and time again. Because again, it's about building that community, those connections, those friendships, and once people once Go is the thing people do each week to see the people they love and care about, they're never going to miss it. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay. Last thing from Justin said small tournaments. Another thing that Seattle does that's pretty neat is they do monthly rating tournaments. Now, you have to be a member of the AGA to do this, but if you're a member of your national association and you can do self-pair rating tournaments, that's a great way to just run a small, easy to do tournament where people can feel like they're progressing and rating their game. So again, it's also unique, so that's something you do that's fun. And the sponsorship I mentioned earlier in the video from the Tuesday night bar owner that I talked to, he was saying, if you do some sort of like small regular tournament, what if we did? And he threw a big number out there. So what if we did $500 prize once a month for these people? And I'm like, yeah, I think that would draw people out. So there might be people in your community that could do that, that want to get in front of a bunch of intellectuals. Good way to maybe sell Go to them and say, hey, this is your crowd, or maybe if your kind of club is like a student club, then find people who want to sell or get their name in front of and get their face in front of students, or if it's in front of you have a strong, large Asian population. Talk to maybe Asian grocery stores or Asian food places that would again want to have their name seen by and want to be in front of your group, your players, your club. So sponsorship is a good option. You can use that money to then grow the club in all sorts of ways. Pay for your meetup group, and maybe donate to Baduk Club or me to help me keep doing stuff. So you don't have to. Again, I'll do this forever. I love Go. I love you guys. So that's why I want to share this info. But always nice to get support too. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope this explained to Justin and anybody else that was curious. You want to know. Again, I want to make Baduk more popular and grow around the world, and let's do it together. Thanks.